Welcome to the gold standard, Making Millions with Malia, the place to be for conscious CEOs and light leaders who know that they have an enormous mission that requires millions to fuel it. I am your host, Jennifer Longmore, Clear Channel for Mother Malia, along with being a long-standing 8-figure CEO, investor, and board advisor who is committed to creating as many conscious millionaires as I can in this lifetime, and to debunk the broke healer paradigm that tells you it is not benevolent to make millions doing spirit-led work. We are in the midst of individual and collective ascension, and as we ascend, so must the way that we do business and money as light leaders. That is what this show is all about. So tune in now and find out why we are ranked in the top 5% of global podcasts and why savvy CEOs just like you binge our show each week and share it as a high-value resource with their communities. Now let's dive into today's Making Millions broadcast. Hello and welcome back to the Gold Standard podcast, Making Millions with Mother Malia. I am your host, Mother Malia, and today we are going to carry on our conversation about how various traumas and I will say big life events can really impact our business years later without us even seeing the connection, of course. And the reason why I bring this forward is because so many times I am coaching people and they have achieved great success, and it still does not feel good or as good as they would like because they either can't enjoy it because they are waiting for the other shoe to drop, they are waiting to be attacked, they are still running, I will say, repeat tapes that they are not bright and that they are going to screw it up, that they're not good at math, and so therefore they can't be good with money because, you know, they're not good with math. There's so many residual things that will linger that people don't realize affect their ability to run a business. But often these things that happen in our childhood really help us to make a lot of gold in our company. And then at some point, it is no longer effective. And that's when our income will cap. And so if you have been doing all of the quote unquote right things, you know, you have been taking aligned action, you have been working on your frequency, you have been doing your mindset work, etc. And you're finding that your business is still harder than you will like, that you're still finding that you perhaps have some a love-hate dynamic, I shall say, with your business, where either you feel like you would like to burn it to the ground, I hear this a lot, or that maybe you are just going to pack it all in and go and get a job, or that you are just destined to feel like every day is Groundhog Day, and that also, of course, does not feel inspiring. What happens is when your childhood issues start to affect your income and cap it, it is interesting that it actually, year after year, makes you have to work harder and harder for the same amount of money. So perhaps the first year you hit 7 figures, you worked hard, which is very common. If you are going to maintain 7 figures the following year, you will actually have to work harder because you are even more tired at feeling like, holy cow, I keep putting so much of sweat equity into this company. When is it going to pay me? And often it won't. And if you have listened to this way back in the podcast when it used to be called the 7-Figure Club, you will hear that one of the ways that I built my business was by by creating an asset that can exist even if I were to choose to sell it, and by acquiring assets to actually bring value into the company to compound my efforts. So I'm not always the one making money, that my assets are making money for me. And strictly from a sweat equity perspective is the reason I bring this up, that if you are going to pour sweat equity into anything, pour it into something that is going to keep paying you year after year, or like a certification program, a licensing thing, you know, something along those lines, so that because otherwise, if and when you try to sell your company, your sweat equity, I hate to say it, does not matter. Obviously, it does to you, but it does not matter to a potential buyer. It does not matter to the person that is doing a valuation of your company to see what it is actually worth and what it can be put on the market for. Because if sweat equity was actually valuable, and of course it can be when directed correctly, as I shared, but just putting in effort for the sake of effort if that was actually holding value, you would already have a multi-billion-dollar company. Simply because if working hard unequivocally meant way more money, then everyone would be very, very rich, and that is not the case. In fact, we know that often the harder we work, the less money that we make. And one of the things that causes us to work harder than we actually need to is trauma. Because inherent under trauma is something is wrong with me. I must have done something to deserve this. Perhaps this happened to me because I'm a bad person. If my own parents don't love me, nobody will. There will be some sort of thing that you are working against, trying to prove if you just work hard enough that you have value or that you are worthy, or simply, again, working against the trauma without realizing it. And that same trauma, of course, as I mentioned, can create a certain amount of gold in your company. And then at some point, it really just does stop working. And so, if all of the things that you have been doing that used to work in your company simply aren't, it is quite possible that both trauma in your field and trauma in the foundation of your business, which is far more stealthy, by the way, are the very things that are capping your income. But the great news is that once we transmute that, once we dissolve that, once we evaporate that, then your nervous system can feel safe again. It can feel like it has capacity to receive and hold more. So receive and hold more clients, receive and hold more money, etc., etc. And so, as you know, we only leap and we only receive and hold to the degree that we feel safe. And so, if your nervous system is always bracing for danger because of what it has been programmed to perceive as danger, and in many cases it is real danger, then how can you ever relax? And an unrelaxed nervous system is going to have you working very hard. But of course, that is a big recipe for burnout. And then there's the cycle, right? We are far less magnetic when we are burnt out. We are also on some level of consciousness pushing business away because we associate more business, more clients, more money with more stress. And so it just becomes this perpetual, very tangled ball of yarn that just keeps going in circles and circles. And it can feel a little bit crazy making, can't it? So, having spoken with tens of thousands of people over the years, I have started to notice the golden threads. And the golden thread for you, if you were bullied as a child, is it can serve you, of course, by bringing in a certain amount of gold, but it also can be your Achilles heel. And so that's what we are going to dive into a little bit more today. So time and time again, I hear from people that have been bullied as children. And I'm not, by the way, talking about racism and violent verbal, psychological, physical, emotional, etc. attacks as a result of racism, anti-Semitism, ageism, any of the isms. I don't want to leave any out, but there are many. I am speaking about just people picking on you because they feel that you are an easy target, for example, regardless of the color of your skin, etc. That mean girl or mean-spirited energy that will occur. For example, in the school age years, we might be bullied by being excluded. So we are always excluded from games as a child. And so how that plays out in client attraction when we get older is we say, oh, I'm not going to be the first one chosen, so why bother? I'm not even going to be chosen. Everyone else is going to be chosen for me. So I'll market, but my marketing will be half-hearted because why will I get my hopes up? I'm not going to be chosen anyways. And the bullying as a child, frankly, is the one thing where I see of all of the different traumas that actually causes people to never really be making the money that they know is possible. But oftentimes it can be such a wet blanket on their income that they actually have to supplement with a part-time job or just simply go back and get a job and do their business as a part-time gig. If they believe that they are never going to be chosen or they're going to be the last one chosen at recess, for example, to play, I'm making this up, a dodgeball, then to protect their tender heart, they will say, well, I'm not going to be chosen. I don't want to I don't want to get my hopes up because I'm so used to being disappointed. And so then even for goals, people with that mindset will not pursue goals because they are already anticipating being disappointed, getting their hopes up, etc. And so they might have a big vision of writing the books or speaking on stage or building the retreat centers or, hitting seven figures or whatever the situation may be. But the bullying works against them, you see. And then in teenage years, as we know, teenagers, and I have been there on both the giving and receiving end, and perhaps you have as well, we can be pretty nasty, can't we, at that age? It is not to judge it, of course. We are simply, that is pretty common for that developmental stage. But our friends are so important to us at that age that it will hit us harder than perhaps, let's say, when we are 3 or 4, even though, of course, trauma is trauma. You know what I'm saying? And so, because we are learning how to individuate from our parents at that age, and our social circle naturally becomes even more important to us than our family of origin, when we are excluded, when we are picked on, when we are humiliated, when we are canceled, whatever the terms are that you will like to use, when we are ganged up on and physically attacked after school, whatever the situation is, it can feel like even more of a dagger to the heart, I shall say, as a metaphor, than if it is happening at a different developmental stage or happening from, let's say, parents. When we have parents, although we do not necessarily appreciate their treatment if they are being abusive and so on. This is coming from me investigating many, many crimes against children over the years, that for the most part, I will say 99% of the time, children love their abuser. They simply want the abuse to stop. That is why we can weirdly be even more forgiving of our parents than we can of, let's say, schoolyard bullies. And also, I would like to qualify too by saying, yes, we can have bullying by siblings, but I'm really speaking more about those that are outside of our family of origin, even, of course, not including cousins and etc. Really speaking more to people that are more tertiary cast of characters, I will say, more on the periphery. And yet these people that really don't matter to us in the grand scheme of things, of course, we know that now. At the time, we give their treatment of us far more weight and their viewpoint of us far more weight than makes sense given their transient nature in our lives, you see. So isn't that interesting that those that really often are only a part of our life for a few years or maybe even a fleeting moment can hold a very long-standing position in our energy field because the trauma at that age is so significant. And so for me, for example, I will use myself as an example, and many of you have heard this story before. In grade 7 and 8, girls can become quite nasty. And there was one, and I certainly participated as well, but it is almost like a survival mechanism, isn't it? Like when someone is being a bully, oftentimes you will join the bully because you know if you don't, that you are going to potentially be a target. So inevitably, when I was in school, I was in the gifted class, which I didn't really appreciate because that already separated me from the pack, so to speak. I had to then work hard to downplay being special, not that I am more special, but you know what I'm saying. And then I got, well, of course, got very good grades. And then I was not great at many sports, believe me, but if I was going to be good at a sport, I tended to excel at it very quickly. And so people would often feel competitive. They will feel resentful, jealous, whatever the terms were. And so a lot of times when you are the poster child, so to speak, of success at an age where you don't even know how to handle it, and frankly, you don't want it, you can be a target for those that don't feel good about themselves. And so they want to take a bite out of crime, so to speak, and tear you down a little bit to meet them at their level if they view themselves as less than. And of course, you are not at all saying that they are less than. If anything, it is perhaps the teachers and the school culture that creates that, but you are not the one that is in their face, But of course, they do not know that, and you don't understand why that is happening. And so one of the things that, so I would, this was back before, of course, social media. So I would go to school and think everything was fine the night before, only to find out that nobody was speaking with me. or perhaps mocking me, making fun of me, excluding me at recess, etc. And it became challenging to go to school because you see, at home, there was a lot of tension at home as well. I was not close with either parent because they were both not very kind to me. And just not to say, of course, that I was a victim, just sharing the story. So school, my point is, was almost like a refuse for me. And to then also not have that be a safe place, then there was no safe place, you see. And I only share this because this is a common example for people. And so if there is no safe place, the nervous system learns at a very young age that it must be very hypervigilant to assess for safety in all situations, all group environments. Because of course, our family of origin is a group, even if it is just one other person. School is a group environment. Then we go into the workplace, of course, if you did. And, we bring these things everywhere we go. And of course, we bring this into our business. And so many years ago, I joined a mastermind. In the mastermind, everyone at the beginning was setting their goals. And of course, none of us had hit our goals yet. So everyone was cheering each other on. Oh, you go, girl. You have got this. Well, then I had the audacity, being the high achiever that I am, of course, which is another, thing that is an Achilles heel, but also creates gold as well. I hit my goals very quickly. And I flew to the mastermind, the in-person mastermind. And many people would not even look at me. When I say that, they literally will turn their body away from me because they were so triggered. And I couldn't understand. This feeling was familiar. But I said, oh, I don't know what this is, but this does not feel good. And of course, the brain says, what did I do? What did I do to hurt people? What did I do to offend people? I am always the problem. I never know why I'm the problem, but I know that I'm the problem. So I don't want people to feel me as a burden. I wonder what I have done. And then I stood up to do my hot seat in front of the room, and there was, I will say, about 20 women or so there, maybe a little more. And they were talking over me. I was trying to present and present my business to say, hey, here's where I'm at, and we'll love your feedback, kind of thing, as typically happens in a mastermind. And there were many that were chitty-chatting with themselves. Many had left the table and were in the back of the room chatting. And the coach that was there at the time, frankly, it was her responsibility. If I were to handle it differently, I would have required more of the group. But of course, it unfolded in divine perfection. And then a woman got up and just came over to hug me because I was so exacerbated. What is happening? This is feeling very bizarre. And I just, I melted, in tears because I was so beside myself. But really, what was happening is that these women were a gift to me because they were highlighting a trauma that I didn't even realize how much that trauma was affecting my business, is my point. So all of the years prior, I will go to networking events, which was, in hindsight, pretty brave of me and perhaps of you as well, if you can relate, to even go into groups with the trauma of I get attacked in groups, I get bullied in groups. People gang up on me and I don't know why, that kind of mindset we will be holding. And so that was a real gift for me because then I saw so clearly, oh, here I am hosting my own groups, but I can only let my groups be a certain size in my own containers, I mean, because then the smaller the group, the less big the attack, I will say, the less the gang up mentality, we will call it. But also there were many groups I could have gone to, many adventures I could have taken with groups that would have helped my business, is my point, that I avoided, but I didn't know why. But unconsciously, that trauma of, here we go, the bigger the group, the greater the trauma, the greater the attack, the more likely I am going to be shunned, outcast, made wrong, etc. I avoided that, which inevitably capped my income and slowed my business growth, which is why I am sharing this story, of course. I am far beyond it now, especially as Malia, but I can still see occasionally, well, not so much now that I'm Malia, but up until I became Malia, I can still see a little residue of that, where certain group environments, I will say, I'm not so interested in participating in that. And then, of course, because I have a guard up, then other people put their guard up. And then we can only have so much intimacy, or I have to work that much harder to be liked. And I'm just using me as an example, but I'm speaking in we. because inevitably the nervous system says, "Oh, I'm on guard," and then people respond to the guard. They don't respond to the essence underneath it. And so then they might decide that they don't like you either, or perhaps you don't get included, etc. So, point is that I've seen many times with clients over the years, if they have been bullied as a child, they unknowingly block client attraction because they say, oh, they just hold on to the memory of I get bullied by others and I never know who is going to bully me. So I have to keep people at bay because I never know who is a bully and who is not. And I don't trust my channel. I don't trust my judgment. I don't trust my discernment, my awareness because I never know who is going to bully me, as much as I will love to help people. And again, it creates the conundrum, right? You might feel guilt and shame, etc., that, oh, I will really love to help people, but I really don't want to help people. We can help people, and not love people, so to speak, when we have been bullied. And so there's this perpetual push and pull, which then creates push and pull with clients, or push and pull with money, etc. Perhaps you are investing heavily into designing your business in such a way that it can serve the masses. But if you have been bullied, you actually will like your containers to be very small, even if you have invested significant time, money, and energy to set your containers up to handle high volumes of participants, because again, the trauma is protecting you. And so the trauma doesn't just reside in your energy field, it resides in the foundation of your business. And you might think, oh, I've done a ton of work on this already. I already cleared it. I already tapped on it. I already took a Bach flower remedies for it, whatever your brain is telling you you have done. That may be true, of course, but I promise you, if it is still in the foundation of your business, you will continue to call forward people that treat you in ways where you think, what is happening? This is just not honorable. And on what planet will people think it is okay to come into my world this way? Alternately, you might be a little more on the offense than you will like. And of course, that can be very off-putting because everything is frequency. So you might have the most beautiful copy. You might have the most informative masterclass that you offer, but it won't be that people respond to, even though they might have the awareness that this feels amazing. What they respond to is the frequency. And if you have a bit of a back off, get your own sandwich kind of a vibe, or you give off a vibe that you are afraid of people or that you are nervous around people, even if they don't have words for it, that is what they are responding to. And that is why it is so important to neutralize these frequencies both in your energy field and the foundation of your company, so that they don't keep calling for the same experiences. And so again, the same things that allowed you to make a certain amount of money are now capping you. We can now take the cap off, and you can really make incredible amounts of money very quickly and easily without really doing much more. The whole goal is to be lit up by our business, right? And to not feel torn between, I know my business needs clients, but I don't really want to serve clients, etc. In my case, it was never about worrying about clients bullying me. It was more just the group environments with peers, with networking groups and mastermind groups that I would push and pull with. So we all have our own way that plays out, but I'm sharing that with you because if you are aware that you have been doing all of the things, so to speak, and your income still feels capped, or you know that you are destined for far greater wealth, but it seems like no matter what you do, it's still not really shifting. Yes, maybe you're making amazing money, but it is not really shifting. And additionally, on some level that the trauma is affecting your nervous system, because your nervous system will show you how healthy it is by how well you are able to both receive and hold money. And so if you're not able to either receive what you know is possible or hold it, then it is highly likely that there is a trauma in place, because of course we only call in the volume of clients and the volume of money that allows us to feel safe. And of course, our nervous system is going to be an immediate, real-time biofeedback system of showing us how safe we feel. So if you are aware that it is time to shift this and you feel called to work together, and you are ready to really, elevate your income substantially and quickly, but have it be very fun and easy, etc., then I invite you to message me either on social media or go to our website, souljourneys.ca. indicate that you are interested in some one-on-one work to, unhook you from the traumas that might be inherent in both your energy field and your business, so that we can finally get you to where you actually are meant to be, where everything is easy and flowing and highly profitable and fun, etc. So I hope this was of service to you. If it was, and you also feel it will be of service to others, I will greatly appreciate you sharing that, because the goal is to try and serve as many people as possible and have as many people elevated as possible into far greater amounts of wealth, because frankly, we require that to fund our sacred mission, but also to reclaim our planet. That is why I really love to support people in calling in more money. And so I will very much appreciate you sharing that, of course, liking and subscribing and rating, etc., so that more people can know of the show. So I hope this has served. I would love to hear what insights you gleaned from it. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening. Before you go, if you would like to have a chance to have your name and business featured on the Gold Standard podcast, hop on over to where you listen to this podcast and leave a review. If you're selected, you'll have your name and business featured on our show. And in the meantime, we wish you tons of financial blessings, and we'll see you soon for the next Making Millions transmission from Mother Malia.